our rolling coverage of Rishi Sunak taking charge as the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom continues. We are hosting this special panel with Indians in the UK and British Indians to discuss their hopes and aspirations, with UK dealing with a financial crisis and Suella Braverman leading to the Indian-UK freight trade agreement reaching a complete standstill. Sunak faces a host of challenges. Without further ado, let's now speak to our guests on what they expect from Rishi Sunak, the new Prime Minister of the UK. I'm starting with Dr. Neeraj Patil. He's a former mayor of Lambeth Borough, London. Also being joined by Saurabh Dutt, author and political analyst. He's joining us as well from London. Suresh Joshi, journalist, joining us from London. Akhila Jairam, Eastern England chair of Conservative Young Women. Kuldeep Singh Shekhawat, president of Overseas Front of the BJP, joining us from UK. Akshat Jagan Mohan, a current affairs commentator, also joining us. And also joining us is Shrobona Bhattacharya, District Councillor, University of Cambridge, UK, from London. I welcome all of you and thank you for joining us on NewsX. Starting first of all with you, Dr. Neeraj Patil. All right, Dr. Neeraj Patil will join us very shortly. Meanwhile, let me first go to Saurabh Dutt. Saurabh, the mood is upbeat, I'm sure, in London, in the entire UK as well as India, because Rishi Sunak is a man of Indian origin. We've been discussing his origin. It's a symbolic, sort of win for the Indian origin people, the diaspora as well. It's being celebrated world over. But what are the real expectations which the people of, the UK have from their new Prime Minister, over and above, of course, his identity, his Indian origin-ness, the deliverables? What is it that people really want Rishi Sunak to deliver on?
Well, what the British people have seen in Rishi Sunak so far through all of the debates, these campaigns and the way he's held himself forth, is that he is the most sensible option at this time. An individual who imparts his honesty, wears his faith on his sleeve, and means what he says what he means. And I think that's what the British public wants more now than ever. His time at Chancellor, the way he helped the country during the COVID crisis, all of this has endeared himself to the British public, and they will want to see that same honesty, transparency and sincerity in the way he carries out what he needs to do for the economy. He needs to deal with the economy, deal with the clear problems that we're facing, but also beyond that, to have a very clear stance on issues that are far more challenging, such as Ukraine, and from a British Indian and British Asian perspective, to be really clear about the issue of Hindu phobia as well, which has gripped the nation up to this point. So what we're expecting is an individual who is sincere, that believes in ethical behavior and a code of honor. That's something that has been sorely lacking from all of the prime ministers probably for the last few years in this country.
And since you speak of the previous prime ministers as well, Shrobona Bhattacharya is also with us. Shrobona, we've seen three prime ministers change in the UK in a very short span of time. Liz Truss, of course, a very ignominious run out of power, the shortest prime minister which the country has ever seen. The task is not very easy in front of Rishi Sunak, isn't it? It's a daunting task, very challenging and treacherous road ahead of him. The first and foremost challenge really being in front of Rishi Sunak is restructuring the entire economy, given really the backdrop of the tax cut by Liz Truss. Possible for him to roll back on the same? If yes, then how is he going to really deal with the common man, because their protests also, or they were earlier, related to the same, isn't it?
Hello, thank you. Thank you for inviting me today. I met Rishi Sunak only once in August in one of his hustings in Cambridge, and I found Rishi is a very professional person, problem-solving person, and he is a very different professional politicians than many other people I have seen, and he needs to trust. I mean, he definitely needs to build up the trust and faith from the people, from the members of the Conservative Party, which is very important at this moment. And Rishi is a professional person and a problem solving person. His academic backgrounds, experience. He is the youngest prime minister in this country in the 200 years. So there is a credibility in his career path, and I believe Rishi will address the problem right now. Currently, he just got his job, and 2 hours before, we cannot really claim the way that how he will be solving this problem. So the question you are asking me, that how will he solve all this problems, it only Rishi can explain us. We can only explain how he is a man. We have seen him is a very nice person, professional man, problem solving person. So this is the only we can actually give you the feedback, and we have a trust and faith on him that he will be working with the people the way he was standing in the COVID time. And in the COVID time, Rishi gained lots of trust among the people, and I completely believe people will see his work very soon, the way he will be delivering.
So the mood optimistic, to also clarify, I didn't ask you what his solutions are going to be. I asked you to sort of talk about the challenges in front of him. Challenges are galore. It is of course a difficult road in front of him, but clearly as we can see, the diaspora there, the people living in the UK, extremely optimistic, and of course, as you say, he's endeared himself to the people. We'll have to wait and watch in the coming days what his policies are. But Kuldeep Shekhawat, since you're also the head of the overseas BJP unit here back home as well, there is a lot of excitement, and why not? So he's a man of Indian origin. He's a man who respects and even flaunts, his origin, his belief in Hinduism. All of that, of course, while it's a matter of celebration and pride, but it doesn't really translate into anything realistic, does it? Because end of the day, he has to, and rightly so, serve the people of the UK first. What do you think he brings really as a leader of the Indian origin, and of course the first to lead the UK?
One thing I can definitely tell you, he has a lot of confidence. He brings a lot of confidence with him. He is a man who was right at the center of the headache that was COVID. He took it on. He delivered. Furlough scheme was introduced in UK. People survived. A lot of industries survived. A lot of people survived. And that was Rishi Sunak for them. And that is what is counting now. The member of parliaments in UK have voted for him overwhelmingly, only because they realize that this is the man who can deliver. See, it's not going to be a one-day job. It's not going to be a week job. It's not going to be a month job. But yes, we know Rishi will deliver. And they have that confidence in him that yes, he is the man who will deliver. When talks were going on about him being the candidate in the first time round, it was, I can very clearly say, all the MPs then also wanted him to the PM, not Liz. But the mandate went to the public and public voted for Liz, and that's why Liz became the Prime Minister. So, situation has come back to Rishi to handle, and now he will handle. I can assure you in very, very clear terms. Now let's talk about the British economy first. British economy is at the moment suffering, as he also said in his opening remarks, that we are in trouble. We are actually in trouble. What he needs to do is, there are issues, finances, inter-country relations. Britain wanted a deal with India. It never happened. Now he will have to work very hard to get that done, the trade deal with India. Then they have a big issue about Ukraine. They are supporting Ukraine, but there are a lot of Ukrainians that have come into UK and they are being supported by the government. So all this adds up to the woes. It adds up to the trouble.
Yeah.
Now, the other part of the story is oil. We were dependent on roughly 30% oil from Russia. It's gone now. Russia won't deliver oil and gas to United Kingdom. We have to find an alternative. So Rishi has to find a solution to that problem also. Basically, at this moment of time, Rishi is only going to concentrate on the needs of the people. He is not going to concentrate on the bigger picture at all.
Fair enough.
He will make sure that the country is comfortable, the people are comfortable, the people are given, there's no blackouts like they are happening in Europe now. I was in Balkans recently and they are having 3 hours blackout every single day Winter has set in UK.
Yeah.
Winter has set in whole of Europe.
So he's
and a 3-hour blackout.
correct.
You can
So point
understand how
taken.
difficult
Point
it is.
taken. So as far as Rishi Sunak is concerned, the task is cut out in front of him. Of course, the larger picture comes later. His origin, or of course, the identity, all of that is a part and parcel and a package as far as Rishi Sunak is concerned. But the first and foremost priority, of course, is to fix the economy of the country, which is, of course, the most basic thing to do. Shravanna Bhattacharya, you were saying that you've had a very brief interaction with Rishi Sunak. If you could just, help us understand what was your impression of him, what a type of or sort of man he is, because all of you seem to be saying that there are a lot of challenges in front of him, but he seems to be well equipped, of course, to take on them. His finance background, of course, which we know adds to it. That does give him a lot of credence. He has served in the government earlier as well. He's been a civil servant as well. All of that sort of, increases the gravitas. But what about your personal interaction with him? What was your impression of Rishi Sunak, and what did you pick from the same?
I picked up he's a very nice man and a kind person. I'm giving you an example. Generally, most of the times, as a conservative member, we do have lots of events, conference, fundraisings, and I keep meeting the members of the parliament, the minister, everyone. Everyone is very nice and kind. They come to the different venues, and they just give us a lecture. And then we keep asking lots of questions that actually concern to the public and the people. First time I found a man, Rishi Sunak, he came after delivering his speech. He's a man who actually went to the elderly people, the people are the disabled people, the people who could not sit in the front, the front seats. He went to everyone. He personally one-to-one. He met the people. He received their questions. So what I found from these characters, that he is a man of listening. The man who listens, the man who himself can go to the public and the people, and he was very keen and eager to listen from the people, and that really gave me a different vision. That really reflected a different vision of him as a person, the person who went to everyone, listened to them, and he really tried to understand their problems, their trouble, their questions, and he talked to them quite a long time. And that really a different attitude I found. The leader of this scale and this caliber, who can actually breaks the glass around him, and he can go to the people and listen to their problems. So that is why I'm very optimistic, positive, that people are now in the trouble of the economic crisis, whatever we all are discussing over the media or the TV and newspaper in the families. I have the belief on Rishi. Rishi will behave this very similar the way I have seen him on that day. Okay. He is a kind of listener from the people.
Okay, so you have full faith, you say, and optimism, and you think he will be able to take on these challenges head on. Akshat Jagan Mohan, if you could come in here. Challenges, as we discussed, galore in front of Rishi Sunak. It's going to be a difficult road ahead in front of him. We've seen literally almost a musical chairs of sort when it comes to the prime ministerial post in the UK. It's not going to be very easy for him. Would you say his Indian origin is both his boon and a bane? Because there's a lot of skepticism around him as well. There is no unity, first of all, in the Conservative Party members. Many have anyway been taking pot shots at him. Uniting the party, one, that's going to be a big challenge for him. And also he'll have to convince the people that he has it in him to stay on the top post, and he'll have to do it extremely fast, given the sort of discontentment against the Tories amidst the general population of the UK, isn't it?
Yeah, I went for a haircut actually earlier today, and I was thinking in the last 50 days, we've had 3 prime ministers, but I've actually had my hair cut only twice. So that doesn't happen very often. Just for a comparison, Britain went through a period, I think, between the 4th of May 1979 and the 2nd of May 1997, when the Conservatives were able to rule the roost, and there were only 2 prime ministers. So definitely there is a lot of political instability, and that is something which Rishi needs to address. In terms of his Indian origin and whether that's going to have an impact, look, we're all happy that, as an Indian, he's come to power. That is something which we are excited about. But I don't think that's going to have any real impact on his decision-making vis-a-vis Britain or even Indo-UK relations. I think the single biggest challenge which Rishi is going to face is going to be the economy. The UK has just recently been downgraded by Moody's in terms of their outlook from stable to negative. Bond markets are volatile. We're in a stagflation-like situation where inflation is extremely high, but economic growth is quite low. And this has been exacerbated by a cost of living crisis as well. Everything is increasing in price, including food. But I think what's been of most concern has been the energy prices. And it'll be interesting to see what Rishi does with regards to energy. Now, Liz Truss did bring in the energy price guarantee, which she said is going to be in place for, I think, a period of 2 years. But it's still in place. But Jeremy Hunt, the current Chancellor, has said that he can only sort of guarantee it till April. With regards to pensions, Rishi has said that he's going to try and ensure that pensions go up in line with inflation, which is fine. But then it'll be interesting to see what he does with the borrowing gap, because there's at present probably a borrowing gap of between 30 to 40 billion pounds, and how he sort of goes about addressing it is going to be interesting. The options that he has, well, one is, we could see an increase in taxes. Rishi may even consider a windfall tax. But other than that, I think the UK government also needs to see what efficiencies can be found within the public services, whether it's the NHS, whether it's local authorities, and try and find some sort of savings. Ukraine too is likely to have an impact on the economy, because the United Kingdom has been providing military assistance to the UK. There are also, as one of the previous panelists mentioned, Ukrainian refugees are coming into the UK, which means, again, they need to be provided accommodation, they need to be trained, they need to be given, if they've got children, childcare would be provided for them, healthcare would be provided for them, and all that has a cost implication. So the UK economy, which is already struggling with its own economic difficulties, how is it going to cope with that? That'll be interesting to see. But, if there is somebody who can do it, I think it's Rishi Sunak. I think he has the pedigree. I think he has the necessary experience. And, he's somebody who has not just the technical skills, but he's also got the right soft skills for the job. He's a good communicator, and he's also got that likability factor. And in politics, sometimes that matters. If people like you, if your colleagues like you, if the markets trust you, I think you can get more done.
So optimism, of course, is there, but it's cautious optimism. Far as Rishi Sunak is concerned, the mood is upbeat. Suresh Joshi, I'm sure, as a journalist, you've interacted with many on the ground. What really is the reaction of the general public there in the UK, not just the diaspora, but overall as well? Are the people welcoming of Rishi Sunak taking over, as the Prime Minister of the UK? What are the expectations? Because as most of the panelists elucidated, it's a very difficult time. He is coming really in the backdrop of an economic crisis. Is coming, of course, in the backdrop of the Russia-Ukraine war, from strikes to party unity to, of course, the energy issues because of the war. Challenges extremely high. The road seems to be difficult. But what about the faith really in him? What really has been the reaction of the general public to this big change?
Concern, let me wind you back. It was David Cameron who said in November 14, 2015, I believe, when Narendra Modi came to London, Namaste Wembley, when he said it won't be, quote, it won't be long where there is a British Indian minister in 10 Downing Street. And Cameron said that it's the contribution of the British Indian in various fields. How they take it is like the phenomena of an Indian doctor, which is very well respected, and he can solve most or at least all their problems. So we got an Indian political doctor who has to prove himself. He's got the gravitas, he's confident, he's qualified, and he got all the ingredients with him. So one has to give him a chance to work, let him work and see how it is. So it is right man for the right job. And that is how the British Indians are taking. And not only that, this is not the first time a lot of press is saying Hindu, Christian and all that. It isn't the first time. If you wind back even further, in 1869, Benjamin Disraeli was the first and the last Jewish prime minister. So I think it's a wonderful opportunity and upgrading the general status of the Indian in general. And I think it's a good time. As a pre-Modi slogan used to be, happy days are here, achhe din aane wale hain. I think we should do our own part in a humble way. And if you see the history of it, even the Conservative Party, in my opinion, has taken a big challenge. Had there been two candidates, I believe he would have a lot of difficulty in getting the membership of the Conservatives in general. So they have cut it down to one, as they say in English. The penny has dropped, and I think he is the right person for the right job with a good track record between the COVID time when he came and coined the idea of furlough. So I think it is a red letter day as far as the British Indians are concerned, which shows that there's a political rise of proof of British diverse and accepting the culture. What some people may get offended is Hindutva in general, which is not extremism in any case at all. And lastly, I think he will get very well on with the India in general, whereas there is also a trade pact is in the making. I think generally we should be not pessimistic, optimistic, and then take it achhe din aane wale.
Well, interesting analogy you've drawn, of course, from Prime Minister Narendra Modi's campaign here. Achhe din aane wale hain is what you say, but what does the opposition think of it? Dr. Neeraj Patil, former Mayor, Lambeth Borough of the Labour Party from London, has also joined us. Dr. Patil, what do you think of this big change? First time you have an Indian origin man who's going to be leading the UK. Do you think he will be able to deliver on all the promises he made? He said today that he's going to earn the trust of the people. Of course, he did not elucidate his upcoming policies in great details, but there are a lot of challenges in front of him. Do you think he'll be able to meet them, take them head on?
First and foremost, as a British Indian, as a global citizen, I welcome Rishi Sunak becoming the Prime Minister of Great Britain, because this is a great day for diversity. This is a great day for racial equality. Okay. Setting aside, as you know, we are from opposition. I'm from the Labour Party, and I stood for Parliament at the same time when Rishi Sunak stood in 2017. I lost by 1,500 votes in Patni, and of course, he won in Richmond. Now, yes, Rishi Sunak, I know him. When Modi ji came to address the British Parliament, we were sitting next to each other, and he's undoubtedly a very bright, intelligent man, a good economist. But the thing is, setting that aside, I must say, 12 years of conservative rule has been an economic disaster for Great Britain. Okay, in 12 years, they have produced 4 prime ministers, 4 chancellors, and it's a very unstable political party. And the biggest challenge Rishi Sunak faces today is from within his party. He has a lot of dissidents who will not take the whip, who may not vote for what he wants. So the big challenge he has is from within the party. And of course, as opposition, we rightly say, look, Mr. Sunak, okay, fine, I respect you as a fellow Indian, but this is not your mandate. This mandate belongs to Boris Johnson. Let's have a general election. That's what majority of the people wants. So it's time for a general election. Enough of this, this revolving chair of prime ministers and chancellors, okay? And undoubtedly, 12 years of conservative rule has been an economic failure that has led to cost of living crisis, that has led to long waiting times in the NHS, that has caused wage stagnation. Enough is enough. We need to get rid of this conservative party, and we want Labour Party to win the next election.
Well, yes, so the Labour Party has been anyway asking for, elections. But Dr. Patil,
Yes.
one more question, sir. End of the day, it's an Indian origin man. You said at the onset, of this discussion yourself, you said that it is something to celebrate. Even though you're from opposition, I'm sure you'd stand by it. The fact that it is a big day, it goes beyond symbolism, that an Indian origin man has been chosen to lead a former colonial power.
Yes. See, the thing is, you see, let me tell you, as a British Indian, okay, as a British Indian of a Hindu descendant, fine, it's a great day for everyone because we have a British Indian of a Hindu origin as a Prime Minister of Great Britain. I welcome. Now, the thing is, setting aside, now I'm talking about his political party. I'm not talking about Rishi Sunak as an individual. Yeah, I respect Rishi Sunak as an individual. He's a decent man. But look at the chaos the party is in. So he is basically riding a ship that is going to sink. With all respect to him, it's nothing against him, but I'm talking about the party which he is leading. So he has the big challenge for the big challenge within his party. You see, do you think Boris Johnson, Liz Truss will be just sitting and allowing him to smoothly run the government? I don't think so, because there are extreme right-wing group which is led by people like Jacob Rees-Mogg. Okay. They will not allow a
to give him a
smooth
free hand
running of the government.
Okay, I take your point, and it is, to some extent it is justified. And Darshan Singh, while today we are celebrating, that an Indian origin man has become, the Prime Minister of UK, it's something to celebrate. But
We should celebrate as well.
I take your point. So let me bring in other panelists as well. Darshan Singh is an international affairs expert. He's also joined us from London. Mr. Singh, it's a pertinent point. End of the day, Tories are a divided house. Is Rishi Sunak going to be able to fully exercise his mandate? Because we are already hearing voices of dissent. Many within the Conservative Party today are questioning Mr. Sunak already.
Well, you'll always find that let's take it down to a family. You always have these differences between brothers and sisters, and I don't think whatever little bit differences are there are going to make any difference to Rishi Sunak. Okay, there will be certain challenges, but he's an intelligent man. He's well educated. What we have to look at is which I'm sure he will, is to turn the economy around. And if he can do that, then I think those who are behind him, or who are, I would say, as you're asking, who are against him, will definitely join him and support him.
Yeah.
And this is very important. He needs to turn the economy around. We are going to celebrate. The earlier gentleman is talking about divisions in the Conservative Party. I don't want to, I'm a Conservative supporter for a very long time. I can say a lot about Labour Party. Labour Party hasn't got any figures to give us. They keep talking about they will do this, they will do that, but how are they going to do it? Nobody can. If you put any one of them on the spot and say, okay, how are you going to bring the money in?
Okay.
And they will not have an answer. They have always been a party that borrows more money and gives it to the public, put it into this, put it into that, all sorts of organizations, and it doesn't actually improve the country's economy. They were in power for a very long time before the Conservatives came back, and they didn't improve anything.
Okay.
So how can they complain about the Conservative Party? Let's put the Labour Party and Conservative Party out of the question. The thing is, we have got an Indian Prime Minister, a Hindu Indian Prime Minister in UK. It is history, and we are going to celebrate that, and we are going to support him in whatever way possible, and we're going to make it a success at the next election. We will, and I'm sure he will. Once he has turned things around, everybody will be behind him including the public. The public is interested in seeing what he can do. He did very well during the lockdowns, and he helped everybody. And I'm sure he's there, and he's going to do the same now. But he will, I'm sure, with his economic qualifications, he will be able to put two and two together, and produce things that will definitely help everybody across the board. Tough times are there. The whole world is suffering.
Okay,
let's prices are going up everywhere. You show me one country that isn't.
No, but
yeah.
I think the condition of UK is it's quite tight at this moment. Inflation is rising everywhere, but Liz Truss's policies also had quite a disastrous impact, and many are expecting him to reverse it. But sort of that difficult task in front of Rishi Sunak, there is no doubt about that. Many, of course, are focusing on his Indian origin. I agree, it's time to celebrate. It's symbolic. It does show the power really of the Indian diaspora as well. It's a day which sort of signifies and celebrates equality, changing times and all of that, which is acceptable. But beyond that, does it translate into anything substantial, be it for the diaspora there or even for Indo-UK relations? End of the day, his constituency is local. Is it really going to go beyond symbolism? First of all, if we only speak of this Indian origin, and the Hindu identity, which of course he has been rightly so, very, very proudly showing off.
Well,
I'm
think
sure. Sorry, you got
me, yeah. So yes,
Saurabh, the question's for you. Let's,
okay, thank you.
Yeah, please go ahead.
So yes, I think there will be a point where we do have to go beyond what he can just solve with the economic situation in the country, and where his identity, his background and his culture do factor in. For instance, while British Indians and Hindus are one of the most assimilated and well integrated communities in the United Kingdom, we've seen over the last few months just how fragile communal relations can be, unfortunately, due to different agendas. So in that sense, he will have to be extremely cool-headed and calm and call upon the peaceful nature of Hinduism and to correct a lot of the falsifications that have been said about Hinduism and the culture and the country and Narendra Modi ji. He will have to do that. On the other hand, we've seen with Suella Braverman just how dangerous words can be and can harm relationships and the potential to cut lucrative trade deals with India. So what Rishi Sunak can do there is completely reset the situation and take back that harm, because understandably, India, of course, was taken aback by her egregious comments. So it is now time for Rishi Sunak to use his skill to paper over the cracks in that relationship, because there is a glorious future ahead for Britain and for India. And perhaps Rishi Sunak will be cool-headed enough to understand its importance.
And Kuldeep Singh Shekhawat, since we are speaking about Rishi Sunak's Indian origin, how it's a big win or a symbolic day really for the diaspora back here in India as well. The FTA deal, it's in limbo. We were all expecting it to be signed before Diwali. It's of great significance to all of us here in India as well, and of course to the audiences in the UK as well. Do you think with Rishi Sunak things could go at a faster pace, because it was Ms. Braverman's comments which had jeopardized the entire deal? Do you think with Rishi Sunak at the forefront, that deal could once again see the light of the day, or the immigration policy? What can be Rishi Sunak's stance on the same?
To be very honest, that deal is going to take place very soon. With Rishi at the command, Government of India will pull all success and support him. There is no reason why Government of India is not going to support him. And there is no reason why Britain is not going to get it done. Britain has an agenda to be part of Indian, part of India's team, where they can have a free trade deal with India, and not only deal on the trade side, they want defense deal also done. Quite a few things are on pipeline, but why it was jeopardized was not only because of Suella Braverman, but the economic situation in UK, plus they had a stance regarding Ukraine, we had a different stance regarding Ukraine, and that was being bit of a area of concern for both the countries. Now, Rishi is a very, very straightforward guy on that count, and he knows what needs to be done. he is not going to bring in the bilateral relations into trouble because of a third country. We have a stance regarding Ukraine. Yeah, it is well known fact that we have in India we have around 60% of our defense procurement from Russia. So we have our own stance. But whereas UK is concerned, UK wants to support Ukraine for a different reason, because it's European country as far as they are concerned, and they want to bring it in NATO. Well, that part of the story which was being given to the public and the media will change now. Rishi will concentrate only on the economic side of the story, that okay, we want this from you and you want this from us. Let's deal on the count, and it will be done. I'm sure about it that government of India knows what needs to be done for UK, and UK government knows what needs to be done for India. So this is a win-win situation for both of them. The High Commissioner was not there earlier. Now we have a High Commissioner here in UK, the Indian High Commissioner, and things will be expedited. 100% sure about it.
So the FTA deal, you think, will be, of course, back. It's going to get expedited with Rishi Sunak at the helm of affairs, and it does look extremely likely so. But Akshat, Jagan Mohan, since we are discussing the challenges in front of Rishi Sunak, one challenge is going to be tax. In case he increases the tax, it could further antagonize the people. If he doesn't, then you have the big economic crisis. Help us really understand, some of the major challenges in front of Rishi Sunak when we speak of the economic revival of the UK, because that really is going to be his first and foremost priority. All the other things can wait. Akshat, Jagan Mohan, can you hear us, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, good economics sometimes makes for bad politics. But Rishi Sunak was brave enough during the last leadership contest to actually tell very clearly to the public, to the Conservative members, what it is that he's going to be doing. Yes, at that point in time, it wasn't acceptable to the members. But I think after Liz Truss's short reign of 50 days, I think both the membership and MPs, of course, are backing him, backed him last time as well. I think he will find it a bit more easier to sort of address the situation than Liz Truss would have. I think what people also realize is that, money doesn't grow on trees. You need to find it somewhere to pay for all the sort of additional expenditure that Britain has incurred during these unprecedented times. And it has been unprecedented. You had COVID first, then Ukraine. Rishi did a fabulous job with regards to managing the COVID situation. The furlough scheme which he came up with has benefited thousands and thousands of people across the UK. So I think now if he says that, guys, we need to find the money to pay for this, and that means increased taxes, I think people will be a bit more open to that idea because they have benefited. I can say that as somebody who runs businesses in the UK as well, I operate in the healthcare sector, and we greatly supported by the government during the COVID period. So even as a businessman, if I was to pay more tax today, I wouldn't mind. We know that it's a short-term thing, and eventually, if you take a 5-year view, I think you'll probably see taxes increasing and then coming back down.
All right, and Dr. Patil, since of course you had been rather skeptical of Rishi Sunak also, you're from the Labour Party, and that also explains a part of it. Most of the panelists here seem to be rather optimistic. The mood celebratory, not just because of his Indian origin, but because of his financial background as well. Most suggest that he has the credentials, he has, of course, the ability to lead the country. If he's able to pull the country out of the economic crisis, a big win, of course, for the Conservatives. You think people are going to forget really what happened in the past, the so-called, revolving chairs as far as the prime ministerial post is concerned, something which you referred to?
See, let me also say, as a British of a Hindu origin, okay, and as a global citizen, it's a great day for diversity, okay. So a man of color becoming Prime Minister of United Kingdom is something which we all welcome. So this is, I have a lot of respect for Rishi Sunak as an individual, but I'm talking about, please remember, Rishi Sunak is an individual. So
No, but you're skeptical of the real deliverables. That point taken. But do you think he will be able to deliver? Okay, go ahead.
No, basically, the ethos of Conservative Party is tax cuts. Okay. Now, the moment he doesn't do tax cuts, on the contrary, he starts to increases the taxes, he will have a backlash within his own party. And the reason why he lost to Liz Truss is because he didn't use the word tax cuts. And the problem is there is a contradiction within the Conservative Party. The Conservative Party is out of touch with the people of Britain. And they've been ruling Britain for 12 years and they have failed economically. This is nothing, personally, nothing against Rishi Sunak. Please, as a fellow Indian, I respect Rishi Sunak as an individual. So please don't take it in the negative sense. I'm just talking facts here because 12 years of conservative rule has been an economic disaster. And the recent collapse in the market was not because of Ukraine, not because of COVID, not because of Brexit. The recent turmoil in the market was created by the mini budget that was presented by the Conservative Party. So basically, I'm very skeptical about what all my fellow colleagues says. Okay, but there is a big contradiction within the Conservative Party. And
can he get a unity cabinet? I mean, that thought, of course, that has been questioned by many in the UK as well. And Shobana Bhattacharya, point taken, Shobana Bhattacharya, delivery on the unity cabinet, that's difficult. How many of Liz Truss's supporters, how many of Boris Johnson's supporters are actually going to join his cabinet? That also remains a big challenge in front of Rishi Sunak, doesn't it?
Yes, of course. I am just listening to my fellow colleague here, who was actually throwing his political agenda on the screen. So two things I am giving you as a bullet point. The stock exchange of UK did not fall yesterday. Okay, and today when Rishi Sunak met King, and the body language of the King and our Prime Minister, well, very much appreciated by the people here, cabinet here, ministers here, members here, and the general public. Also, media is also a kind of can control the fate of the nation, and so far we didn't see any strong comment against Rishi Sunak against it, but because the media is very harsh and very, very strong here. So far Rishi is going well and positive. I'm telling you one good thing, and just reminder everyone, Rishi Sunak repeatedly he said that he does not believe in the fairy tales. Is a leftist government the fairy tale giving free things? He said that he will not borrow from the children's living, and then that's repeatedly he actually mentioned that fact. The more we borrow from our children, our grandchildren, and he will definitely bring something the sustainability that will not affect our next generations, and he will not be borrowing something that damage and cause more damaging to the next generation and the generation next. So here, of course, the Labours and the opposition will be shouting on the general election, which is a very natural. We are not okay or worried of that. That's fine. But yes, a unity between the members. I'm telling you what is happening now. People are very, very much here, like the self-respected and the self thing, like the अभी जो हो रहा है members के अंदर, उनको ये फील हो रहा है कि हमारे तरफ से हमारा वोटिंग क्यों नहीं लिया गया है. I think that issue will be sorted out soon. We didn't have that much of time to go on the members votings and the hustings. We already had that in July and August. Repeatedly we had so many hustings and everything done. So but the things is that members will be united soon. because that will be done. Yeah.
Well,
I'm
end of
very
the day,
positive.
yes, the fate of the Conservative Party also sort of hangs in balance, and the last thing they can also afford is to have another Prime Minister, and that's something which the opposition has anyway been targeted or rather targeting them on.
Yeah.
Yes, fair enough. We'll have to wait and watch as to what happens. But Darshan Singh, end of the day, as
That's
most
fine.
of you are also saying, a lot boils down to personality as well. Rishi Sunak endeared himself to the public at large during the COVID period. He's acceptable, of course, to the public at large. A day of celebration as far as diversity, as far as even the entire diaspora is concerned. Do you think that personality also sort of is one of the reasons why there's so much optimism, and so many people are backing Rishi Sunak despite of the chips being against the Tories?
Well, I'll tell you, after having met him so many times and have been alongside him in the hustings, you cannot find a person more down to earth than him. He's risen from nothing. People are talking about him being a multimillionaire. He's worth so much and so much, that much. It's nothing like that. This guy will bring this country up. He's not looking at just being a Hindu or being an Indian. Okay, this is going to improve our relations with India up to a certain extent, which Labour will not do. But he's a perfect person who is really a true human being. As I said, he's grown up. His grandfather, his grandmother came to the UK with nothing. He's educated her children, and then take Rishi. His siblings are so well educated as well. So he's there. He's going to do a perfect job. Forget about anything else. We are celebrating him being a Hindu and Indian, which we are proud of. But putting that aside, he will work for the country and not just for his grassroots or his where he comes from. So he's going to be a completely different politics now.
And also, yes, it needs to be highlighted the background as well. And there's a lot of focus right now on his present wealth. In fact, we have a journalist also in the panel with us, Suresh Joshi. Suresh Joshi, if you look at the headlines, a lot of them in The Guardian and otherwise, even in local UK tabloids also, since we were, we'd highlighted them earlier as well, a lot of headlines there seem quite fixated and focused on his wealth. In fact, one of the headlines even read if he's worthy of being the Prime Minister, considering he comes from such a privileged background, he has such a high net worth. Do you think that it's a rather unfair way of looking at Rishi Sunak? Because one needs to take into consideration his background as well. It's not like his parents came of wealth. It's something which he's built through the years with sheer hard work.
No, I think first of all, you see, the biggest attribute in the British society is the British values. There is not going to be such free meal, like they say in India, free ki revdi nahi bategi. We will have to tighten our belt. And the person.
No, but people enjoy free ki revdi. That's why there were tax cuts. No, it's not an India-UK problem. It's, I think, natural human behavior problem, isn't it?
No, but I think give the man a chance. Because as I said, as for the Conservative Party being the bashing boy sort of thing, the situation was while the grass is growing, the house was starving. So we got a very limited time to do it. We found the right person who's qualified and fit for the job. Give him an opportunity to do it. Why are we so sentimental and pessimistic about it? We have to sit back and have a look at it. Otherwise, it has been seen, the circus which was going on, what everybody went through. Yes, he will have to take a lot of stick. He has got a big challenge, but the person I'm sure will do his very best. Like the last speaker said, we are not being very kind at all. Let's do our part. We cannot tell him what to do. If we were so qualified, perhaps it would be a different story altogether. But I would say this is a wonderful red letter day in the British Indian society in general. He is qualified, let him prove it, and if he can deliver it, there'll be applauses all around. At the moment, we can keep on talking about it, criticizing about it till the cows come home. That is not the solution at the moment. In my humble view, I think let's have a look at it, what's happened. and I'm sure will do it. And FDTA would act as a catalyst, which is in the welfare of Britain and India, of course. And with a lot of the biggest investment or British investment is in India. So I think we are a partner in any case. So
oh, certainly. Far as India is concerned, people here are anyway celebrating, the fact that he's of Indian origin, the fact that he's always, been proud of his heritage and his identity, and he flaunts it so very openly and proudly. So that's something which everyone in India is quite excited about. The mood, of course, is upbeat in India, though it's rather interesting to see how the UK press has been covering it, focusing only on, of course, his wealth and his net worth. That's something which I guess the UK press should contemplate on. Akhila Jairam, I'm not too sure, ma'am, if you could join us, but if you are there with us, the question for you really is, what is the mood there in London? How upbeat, optimistic perhaps you personally are after Rishi Sunak has taken over? He's the first Indian origin man, who's now the all right, okay, she's not joined us. Kuldeep Singh Sakhawat, the question for you. We're reaching almost the end of the discussion. The significance really, if you could elucidate and elaborate on that, of an Indian origin man leading the UK, as I said, an erstwhile colonial power, not just symbolic, but certainly it goes a long way when it comes to the representation, diversity, especially, in the forefront of UK, doesn't it, sir?
One thing for sure, he is not going to only concentrate on India.
Certainly.
Or Hindu. What he is going to do is, he is going to look at the general public at the way the British look at them. There are three categories of people living in UK. One which are super rich, one are middle class, as in India, anywhere else in the world, and one is the poor community. And he is going to divide them in the same manner and support them in the same manner. Rishi is a very balanced person. He holds a lot of values. His Indian origin has given him a lot of personal values, which gives him an idea how to deal with a situation when his back is at the wall. He is not the kind of person who will just take it easy. No, he will sit on it, he will sort it out. I have seen him working and I've met him quite a few times, but only thing I can tell you here on the broadcast, that we have a wonderful person who's going to handle UK now. Let us wait for and give him a chance. Give him a chance for at least another 6 months and see what he brings to the table for this country and India both. But yeah, there is a lot of hope which is being generated in India, because he is fighting against a very, very difficult situation, first of all, economically. Then he has a very volatile press to look at. We have a press which is totally anti-India press. This I can confirm. The UK press is not at all in favor of India, and now they have a chance to bite at us. Rishi has to look at that very carefully and take each and every step in such a fashion that that same press, because since this has happened, there have been 6 ministers who have gone. And the way the press is predicting and doing things at this moment of time is not really nice. But yeah, this is normal for British press. British media had been like this. They will do that to not only him, but to anyone who comes in power. Especially the BBCs of this country, some of the newspapers are like that. So the media in United Kingdom is very, very difficult media.
So, the bias of the media, some of it at least, is a little palpable in a few headlines, especially as the ones I mentioned today, and we'd focus on them earlier as well, when it comes to the net worth of Rishi Sunak, considering the net worth of other former leaders, personalities in the UK have never been in question. But end of the day, it's significant, it's a big achievement that a man of the Indian origin is going to be leading the UK, an erstwhile colonial power. Yes, nobody is expecting him to dramatically and drastically, as you said rightly so, sir, change his policy vis-a-vis India or to do anything specific for people of his community. He must behave as a patriot and serve the nation and all the citizens equally, but symbolically it is very, very significant. A day to celebrate for the diaspora, a day to celebrate when it comes to diversity, a day to celebrate certainly when it comes to his Indian origin, his Hindu origin as well. We've had a person of the opposition in our panel who may have picked 100 faults with the Tories, but when it comes to the personality of Rishi Sunak, there's not been a lot of questions on the same. lot of optimism, of course, not just in the panel, amidst the larger population in the UK as well. Excitement galore in India as well, given of course the Indian origin of Rishi Sunak. Certainly historic day as far as the UK is concerned. It's going to be led by a man of the Indian origin. What changes really does he bring? What bearing, if it has any, on the Indo-UK relations, and can he really change the fortunes of the UK? And more importantly, as of now, the Tories, a Conservative party which he belongs to, we'll have to wait and watch. But as of now, I thank all the guests and experts who joined us on this extremely special show.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.